This is Caribbean Newsline, brought to you in association with the Barbados Tourism Marketing Incorporation.
Three teams from regional and international organizations will observe next month's general election in Dominica. Our top story in Caribbean Newsline for Thursday, November 27. From the CMC News Center in Bridgetown, I am Mary Claire Williams. Good evening. A statement from the Office of the Prime Minister says teams from CARICOM, the Commonwealth Secretariat, and the Organization of American States will be on the ground for the December 8th poll. They will be there at the invitation of Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit, as he said, in the interest of transparency and good governance. The Commonwealth team will be headed by the former Chief Electoral Officer in Canada, Jean-Pierre Kingsley. CARICOM and the OAS have requested time to put their teams together. Both the incumbent Dominica Labour Party and the opposition United Workers' Party are contesting all 21 seats at stake. The former Antigua Prime Minister Baldwin Spencer is suggesting that the country revisit its citizenship by investment program. Spencer, under whose watch the program was instituted, is condemning the recent changes made by the Gaston Brown administration. We get more in this report from CMC's Anika Kentish.
It is no secret that the Gaston Brown administration hopes to woo investors to this country by way of a citizenship by investment program. Now, this is an initiative that allows individuals to obtain citizenship by making a hefty donation to the National Development Fund or by investing in locally approved projects. But the former Prime Minister, Baldwin Spencer, has some concerns that if the CIP continues along its current track, there could be some serious repercussions.
What they've done by these amendments is to create a situation where there is a lack of transparency, there is a lack of accountability, and there is no proper reporting mechanism and disclosure of information in relation to that.
Of particular concern is the fact that the government will not be disclosing the names of individuals granted citizenship under the initiative. Spencer argues that the process is not transparent and as such could cause unease among larger states that grant us visa-free access.
What is happening with St. Kitts and its CIP program is for the precise reason that questions have now been raised and that the Canadians have taken steps to require citizens of St. Kitts Nevis to have visas in order to visit Canada. And they specifically mentioned the reason, and the reason was the openness, the lack of transparency and accountability in relation to who gets these passports.
There are three investment options under the current CIP structure. The first is a contribution to the National Development Fund of a minimum non-refundable amount of $200,000. The second is an investment of at least $400,000 into one of the approved real estate projects and to be held for a minimum period of 5 years. The third is an investment of a minimum of $1.5 million directly into an eligible business as a sole investor or as a joint investment involving at least two other people in an eligible business totaling at least $5 million and each of those people individually invests at least $400,000. From St. John's, Antigua, Anika Kentish for CMC News.
And Grenada says its Citizenship by Investment program is expected to attract investments worth more than $100 million this year. In his budget address on Wednesday, Prime Minister Keith Mitchell said his government is putting measures in place to ensure the smooth execution of the program.
The importance of the Citizenship by Investment program and the expectations for the 2015 budget. Additional marketing agents have been appointed and additional projects will be undertaken. We have to safeguard clearly Grenada's image and insulate ourselves from any criminals. Therefore, we have engaged the services and support of private due diligence services, contractors, international governmental partnerships, on our own financial intelligence unit to ensure it remains safe and clean.
Grenada's Citizenship by Investment program offers foreign nationals an opportunity to gain citizenship in exchange for a minimum investment of $200,000. The program is expected to provide an additional 690 jobs next year through 5 new projects. They include an alternative solar energy project and construction of a luxury waterfront apartment complex. Guyana's opposition is blasting the government for sending a member of parliament to a meeting of Commonwealth parliamentarians in the UK. The leader of the party, A Partnership for National Unity, David Granger, says it sends the wrong message to the world, particularly as he went while Parliament was prorogued. More in this report from Royston Drakes of Capital News.
The People's Progressive Party is marching to its own drumbeat. That's the view of opposition leader David Granger in his response to Agriculture Minister Dr. Leslie Ramsami's attendance to a Commonwealth Parliamentary Association meeting.
We have not sent anyone. The opposition did not send anyone because we feel it is improper and unethical to be sending people pretending that parliamentary democracy exists when in fact it's being trampled on. So Mr. Ramsamy doesn't speak for the opposition, he doesn't speak for the majority. And we will continue to engage international organizations, United Nations, Commonwealth, CARICOM, OAS, UNASUR, to bring pressure to bear on the PPP government to reconvene Parliament.
The minister used the opportunity to speak to a gathering at the Guyana High Commission in London on the president's reasoning to suspend Parliament. It did not turn out well for the minister, who was strongly challenged by an activist, Norman Brown. Brown did not show any mercy for the minister as he used the opportunity to remind the minister of his alleged involvement in the purchase of spy equipment for convicted drug dealer Roger Khan. Brown made it clear that he was not an opposition supporter, as many were led to believe.
Meanwhile, the head of the Presidential Secretariat, Roger Luncheon, says the president is not yet ready to call elections. It is over 2 weeks since the country's parliament has been prorogued. More in this report from Neil Marks of Capital News.
When at Parliament on November 10th, President Donald Ramadar called for dialogue with the opposition. He said if this was not possible, then he would call general elections. The opposition has so far refused his offer of talks, but the president is not ready to call elections. This much was said today by head of the Presidential Secretariat, Dr. Roger Luncheon.
I clearly understood him to insist that he needs to be utterly convinced, and to the extent that he has not acted, it means that notwithstanding the protestations, he's not utterly convinced.
Whenever and if the president decides to call elections, Luncheon said that it would not be sudden, but because of public pressure.
It wouldn't be snapped. I think it would be what you might call responding to calls that have been made by everybody plus the cat's mother. Yeah.
Luncheon said that while publicly there appears to be no effort to entice the opposition to the dialogue table, that might not be the case, saying that the government is actively seeking to persuade the opposition.
Hoping, to my mind, is like, you know, the Messiah going to come and manna going to fall. I don't believe we could leave the destiny, or we are leaving the destiny of this country to hope.
In the end, Luncheon said that the matter could be left up to politics.
Politics is the art of making the impossible possible.
And stay with us. We'll be back with more news after the break.
We're pretty much at the limit of borrowing at the moment.
What I'm hearing from you both and the general feeling is that really and truly, what we're calling democracy is not being served in the region.
You are supposed to be the servants of the people. The people are supposed to be your bosses. And to me, the people doesn't even realize it.
This program is talk about the facts. We must bring the facts.
This is Time to Face the Facts.
Last Sunday every month, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. right here on Caribbean Vision. Also streaming live on Time to Face the Facts show Facebook page. It's live and interactive, so you too can join the conversation.
Several Caribbean countries have completed the review process implemented by the Caribbean Financial Action Task Force and the International Cooperation Review Group. Guyana's Attorney General Anil Nandlal says Antigua and Barbuda, Dominica, Grenada, St. Kitts and Nevis, and Trinidad and Tobago have all graduated out of the CFATF review process. Guyana remains the only country in the grouping and is under review at the Financial Action Task Force level. However, Nandlal told a CFATF meeting in El Salvador on Wednesday the non-legislative measures of the anti-money laundering regime are being implemented in Georgetown. He added these measures could be completed before the May 2015 deadline. In Belize, charges are yet to be laid against an 18-year-old man in police custody for the murder of a Panamanian diplomat. Following police investigations, the 18-year-old was arrested on Monday for the murder of Jose Rodrigo de la Rosa Stanford. But after being taken to court twice, charges have not been laid because of a lack of relevant documents from the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution. But DPP Cheryl Lynn Vidal says no applications were made to her office by the police in this case.
I communicated to the magistrate that I was in possession of a file and was perusing it and that they were waiting my directive. And it was very unfortunate that this was communicated to the court because it was not in fact so. I have received no file from any police officer in relation to the matter, and they could not possibly therefore have been waiting for any directive from me. I took steps to ensure that the magistrate was made aware that she was being misled by the prosecutor who was in court, and I am told that subsequent to that, the matter was adjourned to a date to be set.
The man is reported to have told police that he killed Stanford in self-defense. Stanford, who was 64 years old, was a diplomat in Belize for 39 years. In Haiti, the international medical group Doctors Without Borders is reporting an increase in cholera cases over the last few weeks. Head of the group's Haiti mission, Oliver Schultz, says that more than 2,000 people with symptoms of the disease are in need of emergency hospitalization. Schultz says the number of cases has doubled compared to the same period last year. According to the group, Haiti's health system is still facing shortages of funding, human resources, and drugs, and authorities are displaying a lack of preparation for outbreaks that are known and foreseeable. The increase in cases comes particularly bad during rainy months. The cholera outbreak in Haiti surfaced in October 2010. The disease has killed more than 8,000 people in the country. There is a call for agricultural officials in St. Lucia to increase the market share for local poultry farmers. The call comes days after the Department of Agriculture announced a temporary ban on poultry imports from the UK following an outbreak of bird flu. One local poultry farmer says they could benefit from the ban.
In light of the ban on poultry from the United Kingdom, Managing Director of Highland Poultry, Fleming James, is calling on the Ministry of Agriculture to take the step to increase the local market share for St. Lucian poultry farmers. Local poultry farmers are charged with supplying 25% of the local market for chicken. They have been clamoring for greater market share to grow the local industry, but James says they have been met with resistance. He asserts that the quality of local chicken surpasses imported chicken. He wants to see a greater thrust towards self-sufficiency in the poultry market.
Well, we have 25%. We have requested an increase to 40%. And they are very reluctant in doing it. They're saying about now they've been pressured by the WTO, saying that if they increase the quota for us, that America will not give us aid. I don't understand why America has to talk about where we're talking about feeding our country, right? We keep on talking about food security and self-sufficiency in what we consume. And that is the answers that we are getting.
Acting Chief Veterinary Officer Dr. Aurea Kingsnack says unfortunately for consumers, there is a heavy reliance on the UK for the importation of chicken wings. She says the ban will have an impact on the availability of this product.
So most of the chicken wings that you find in the supermarket is coming from the UK. So as a result, for the season you may find that there might not be a large amount or a large supply of chicken wings on the market. So yes, it would affect the availability of at least chicken wings on the shelf for the season.
The ministry has indicated that importation restrictions are part of quarantine measures aimed at preventing the entry of the avian influenza virus into St. Lucia and will remain in effect until further notice. Dr. Kingsnack says weekly reports are being received from the OIE and the UK to guide any action by the Ministry of Agriculture.
So as we get the weekly reports, then we will be able to make more informed decisions. As of now, we cannot tell you how long the ban will be on for, but we are doing our monitoring, weekly monitoring to see what the situation is, and thereafter we'll make decisions as to what's the next step.
Fleming James says it will be difficult for local poultry farmers to meet demand on such short notice, given that the quota of the market has traditionally been small. However, he says in a country which has a high consumption rate of chicken, rivaling that of the US on a per capita basis, it is essential that St. Lucia take on the challenge of growing the poultry industry.
Barbados is promoting itself as a destination for food tourism. The island recently celebrated its 5th annual Food, Wine and Rum Festival. The event hosted both local and international chefs. More in this report from CMC's Renee Sion.
Food, wine, rum. The whole menu for the recently concluded Barbados Food, Wine and Rum Festival 2014. Scores of patrons came out to see local and international chefs take on the grill. From workshops on rum to cooking demos and food trails, the festival brought to life the Caribbean cuisine. One of the major events from the season was Ambrosia, where patrons had a chance to sample foods from local and international chefs.
It's really great, really good to try all of the food and it's been lovely. The familiar faces, the food, everything's fantastic.
Fantastic. It's a new venue. Even here tonight is a new venue. And you know, it's just nicer, it's better. And I think the organizers must be commended.
I really liked the shrimp, that was really nice. And the pan-fried tuna was great. I really liked the 2 stalls serving dessert, they were so good.
I got the chance to taste Barbadian chef Greg Greenidge's fare. He says being a part of the festival over the years has boosted his cooking career.
I've been involved from the 2nd year on my own. First year was with the Barbados Culinary team, but from that time up to now, I got so much new customers, different kind of persons, but you know, it really pushed my business, to be honest with you.
Rum was also a major feature of the festival. It is one of the island's major exports, and Mount Gay Rum's international brand ambassador Chesterfield Brown knows just how important it is to Barbados.
And rum has so much to offer, and I mean the same qualities that we can get from single malts, and the same qualities you can get from cognacs, you can get from good rums, and we have them right here. So my whole thing is to educate the Caribbean on rum, and everybody get excited that rums are good for you.
Well, whether rum is good for you, that remains up for debate. And still ahead in Caribbean Newsline, the latest sport.
We are on Facebook. Join the growing Caribbean community today. Go to www.facebook.com/Caribvision. Be a part of our online family, whether you are located in Canada, the USA, or even farther away. Caribvision is about what it means to be from the Caribbean, our culture, our lifestyles, our voices. Log on or switch us on. Caribvision.
Have you ever needed an escape from your daily life routine? Have you ever wanted to escape into a whole new world? Stacia's marine life has been described as the best kept secret of the Caribbean. Dive into the beautiful marine life of St. Eustatius with the guidance of a professional diver. Explore our magnificent underwater world. You can be acquainted with a wide variety of oceanic creatures like never before. Explore beautiful coral reefs and numerous wrecks with an abundance of fish, lobster, and sea turtles. Don't you miss the opportunity to explore one of the most breathtaking underwater experiences throughout the entire Caribbean.
We begin this evening with cricket, and the West Indies Cricket Board has joined in offering condolences to the family of the late Australian cricketer Philip Hughes. 25-year-old Hughes died on Thursday, 2 days after being hit in the head with a bouncer at the Sydney Cricket Ground. WICB President Dave Cameron says Hughes' death is a tragic loss of a fantastic young player who has proven his pedigree as a top-flight batsman on the international stage. In honor of his memory, the WICB has asked for a minute's silence to be observed before the start of all matches in the third round of the Professional Cricket League Regional 4-day tournament, which starts on Friday. They have also asked all players and match officials to wear black armbands during the match. And as we just said, the third round of the WICB Professional Cricket League bowls off on Friday. Leaders Guyana Jaguars host longtime rivals Barbados Pride at the Guyana National Stadium. The Jaguars are at the top of the standings with victories from their first 2 matches, but inclement weather has set Barbados Pride back in their first 2 matches, denying them a chance to push for victory as their opener against Trinidad and Tobago Red Force. And in their second match against Jamaica franchise, they were allowed just 43.4 overs. And in Trinidad, the second-placed Red Force and third-placed Jamaica franchise will both be looking to close the gap between themselves and the Jaguars. Red Force scored a come-from-behind victory against the Leeward franchise, but the Jamaica franchise will be looking to recapture the early momentum following a near washout in Barbados. The visitors' recent record against the Twin Island Republic is fairly sound, and the Red Force have won their last 2 contests, including a 145-run victory earlier this year at the same venue. And in the third match of the day, Windward's Volcanoes and the Leewards franchise will look to kickstart their season in Grenada after stumbling in their first 2 matches. Both are at the bottom of the standings. Each of the last 8 matches between the 2 sides have produced a winner, but the Volcanoes will be looking for a repeat of the contest earlier this year when they rolled the visitors over by 197 runs at the Grenada National Stadium. Windward's Volcanoes and the Leewards franchise will look to kickstart their season following stumbles in the 2 matches. And in football, Trinidad's women's soca warriors get a cash boost from the government. ahead of their second-round qualifier against Ecuador. The match is scheduled for December 2nd. The Soca Princesses are hoping to be the first to qualify for the Women's World Cup. Sergio Dufour of TV6 News reports.
It's a check in hand and perhaps very soon money in the bank. The Women's Soca Warriors were given their $50,000 bonus today by the Prime Minister, Kamala Persad-Bissessar, for their efforts so far in attempting to qualify for next year's Women's World Cup in Canada. The PM presented the checks to the 20 players and the technical staff of the team. She also gave the Women's Soca Warriors a bit of advice before their World Cup qualifier against Ecuador.
So you have to ensure Ecuador does not score. So I don't know what your strategies are. I am not good at football strategies. I have other strategies which some tell me are good and some say they are not such good strategies, election strategies and so on. But your strategy, obviously, you have to make sure that you get into the goal post.
Minister of Sport Rupert Griffith said the team deserved the bonus.
We are happy to make this one-off incentive award and hope that it will further encourage you to keep on and not only just winning on Tuesday, but go to higher heights.
You leave.
And we do apologize for the break in this report from Sergio Dufour of TV6 News. Words of encouragement for Guyana's rugby team as they prepare for the North America and Caribbean Rugby Association Championships this weekend. Guyana begins its campaign with a match against Mexico, and President of the Guyana Rugby Football Union, Peter Green, says the team is eager for a win. He told players the country is counting on them to put their best foot forward.
You leave with the hopes of an entire nation behind you. You leave with the golden arrowhead in your heart and on your chest. You have been given a mandate. You are bringing that title home.
Meanwhile, President of the Guyana Olympic Association cautioned the team against becoming too complacent.
I want to caution you, do not be too overconfident, because complacency brings with it the risk of losing.
The team leaves for Mexico on Friday. And that's the sports. We'll be right back.
This is Caribbean Newsline, brought to you in association with the Barbados Tourism Marketing Incorporation.
Traveling the Caribbean has never been easier or more convenient. Go to liat.com for super savings on fantastic Caribbean destinations. Click on the specials page for the latest promotions and fantastic deals. Go to the quick reference button for travel tips and baggage info. Sign up for travel insurance, which covers your entire trip. And sample Zing, our in-flight magazine with news and features on people and places. Just go with liat.com.
CMC presents Caribbean in 10. All the latest news for your weekday lunchtime, Monday to Friday, 12:30 p.m. on Carib Vision.
The travel forecast is brought to you by Liat, the Caribbean airline.
And before we go, another look at today's top stories. Observer missions from CARICOM, the Commonwealth Secretariat, and the Organization of American States will be on the ground for the December 8th poll in Dominica. And in sports, the third round of the WICB Professional Cricket League Regional 4-Day Tournament pulls off on Friday. Also, the WICB joins in offering condolences to the deceased Australian cricketer Philip Hughes. He died 2 days after being hit by a bouncer. That's Caribbean Newsline. For more news and sports around the clock, log on to kananews.com. From all of us here at CMC News, thanks for watching and good night.
Bye.